Breaking news, Viking Nation. The first revelation is about to detonate inside the Twin Cities and shake Lambeau Field to its core. We're talking about 7 undrafted warriors who just stormed through the gates of Valhalla and claimed their rightful spots on this roster. But that's just the appetizer. A defensive beast from Morgan State just went from tryout player to starting lineup in the most impossible Cinderella story you've ever witnessed. A former Golden Gopher quarterback just shattered every expectation and carved his name into Vikings lore as a third-string general. A tight end who transferred from Stanford to Georgia just proved that champions find their way to championship organizations. And the crown jewel of this chaos? A homecoming so emotional, so perfect, so destined that it'll make grown Vikings fans weep tears of pure joy as one of our greatest legends returns to Minnesota in a trade that rewrites the entire narrative of this season. Each of these shocks could redefine the future of this franchise, and every single revelation proves why this organization is built different, why this culture breeds warriors, and why 2025 is the year Valhalla finally claims its Super Bowl throne. If you bleed purple and gold more than you hate the Packers, smash that subscribe button right now, because what's coming next will leave you speechless. Hold onto your horns, Viking Nation, because what just happened in Minnesota is absolutely unthinkable. We're talking about 7 undrafted rookies who just made the 53-man roster. That's not a typo, that's not an accident, that's a damn revolution. In a league where undrafted free agents are supposed to be camp bodies, practice squad fodder, guys who get cut and forgotten, the Minnesota Vikings just said hell no and rewrote the entire playbook. We're looking at quarterback Max Brosmer, outside linebacker Chaz Chambliss, guard Joe Huber, linebacker Austin Keys, wide receiver Miles Price, tight end Ben Yurosk, and defensive lineman Elijah Williams. 7 warriors who the rest of the NFL overlooked, underestimated, and completely dismissed. But here's what separates championship organizations from pretenders. We don't just find talent, we create it. We don't just develop players, we forge legends. Think about what this means for a second. Other teams are paying millions for free agents, trading away future draft picks for aging veterans, desperately trying to plug holes with expensive band-aids. Meanwhile, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and his scouting department just pulled off the greatest heist in recent NFL history. They didn't just find 7 diamonds in the rough, they found 7 future cornerstones who are hungry, grateful, and ready to run through walls for this organization. Every single one of these guys knows they were written off, knows they were counted out, knows they have everything to prove and nothing to lose. That's the most dangerous type of player in professional sports. Ivan Pace Jr. proved it in 2023 when he went from undrafted nobody to defensive force. Dwight McLaughlin and Bo Richter proved it last year when they became key contributors. Now we've got 7 more warriors with that same chip on their shoulder, that same burning desire to prove the world wrong. This isn't just about depth. This isn't just about competition. This is about culture. This is about building something special from the ground up with players who understand what it means to earn every single snap, every single opportunity, every single moment they get to wear that purple and gold. While other teams are overpaying for players who might phone it in, we're building with guys who know their careers depend on maximum effort every single day. The Packers can keep their expensive free agents, the Bears can keep throwing money at problems, the Lions can keep pretending they're built to last. We're building a dynasty with hungry, humble warriors who will outwork, outfight, and outplay anyone who steps in their way. 7 undrafted rookies making the roster isn't just impressive, it's a statement. It's a message to the entire NFL that the Minnesota Vikings find talent wherever it hides, develop it into greatness, and turn overlooked players into household names. This is how championships are built, this is how legacies are forged, and this is why 2025 is going to be the year that Valhalla finally gets its ring. But hold on, as shocking as that is, the next update cuts even deeper into the heart of what makes this organization special. We need to talk about a man who embodies everything the Vikings represent: heart, determination, and the refusal to quit when everyone else gives up. His name is Elijah Williams, and his story is so incredible, so inspiring, so absolutely perfect that Hollywood couldn't script it better. This man didn't get drafted. He didn't get signed as a priority free agent. He didn't even get a guaranteed contract. Instead, Elijah Williams had to beg for a tryout spot at rookie minicamp. think about that for a second. A tryout spot. Not even a real invitation, just a chance to prove he belonged on the same field with NFL players. Most players would see that as an insult, a waste of time, a clear sign that their NFL dreams were dead on arrival. But Elijah Williams saw it as his only shot at destiny, and he grabbed it with both hands like his life depended on it. This Morgan State defensive lineman walked into that minicamp knowing he had maybe 3 days, maybe a handful of practice reps, maybe just one special teams play to convince the coaching staff he was worth a roster spot. The odds were impossible. The competition was fierce. The margin for error was absolutely zero. But here's what separates legends from ordinary players. When the lights are brightest, when the pressure is crushing, when everyone expects you to fail, true champions find another gear that nobody knew existed. Williams didn't just survive rookie minicamp, he dominated it. He didn't just earn a contract, he earned respect. He didn't just make the practice squad, he forced his way onto the 53-man roster and displaced veterans who had been in this league for years. In 3 preseason games, this man logged 8 quarterback pressures, earned PFF grades above 67.0 in every single appearance, and even threw his 270-pound frame into a kickoff tackle so devastating that his teammates erupted in celebration on the sideline. Brian Baldinger, one of the most respected analysts in the NFL, was so impressed that he broke down Williams' tape on social media and couldn't stop raving about his motor, his technique, and his relentless pursuit of excellence. But here's what makes this story even more incredible. Williams was discovered by defensive backs coach Durante Jones when he visited Morgan State, his alma mater. Jones saw something special in this kid. Something that every other scout, every other coach, every other organization completely missed. That's the Vikings way. We don't just find talent where everyone else is looking, we find it where nobody else even bothers to search. From tryout player to 53-man roster in 4 months. From anonymous to NFL starter in 1 training camp. From overlooked to indispensable in 3 preseason games. That's not just a career transformation, that's a testament to what happens when unstoppable determination meets an organization that believes in developing greatness from the ground up. Elijah Williams represents every kid who's been told they're too small, too slow, not good enough, not talented enough to make it at the highest level. His success is their success. His victory is their victory. His journey from tryout to starter is proof that in Minnesota, if you're willing to work harder than everyone else, if you're willing to outfight every challenger, if you're willing to sacrifice everything for your dreams, this organization will give you every opportunity to succeed. And just when fans thought it couldn't get crazier, here comes the next bombshell that proves Minnesota isn't just finding talent. We're creating our own legends right here at home. We need to talk about Max Brosmer, the former Golden Gopher quarterback who just achieved something that should be mathematically impossible in today's NFL. This man went from undrafted free agent to 3rd-string quarterback on a playoff contender in less than 4 months. But this isn't just any undrafted rookie story. This is a homecoming of epic proportions. A local hero rising through the ranks to represent his home state at the highest level of professional football. Brosmer spent years perfecting his craft at the University of Minnesota, throwing passes in the same state where he now wears purple and gold professionally. While other teams were chasing big-name quarterbacks, while other organizations were trading draft picks for aging veterans, the Vikings looked right in their backyard and found a diamond that had been hiding in plain sight all along. What makes this even more incredible is that Brosmer earned this spot through pure performance. This wasn't charity. This wasn't hometown favoritism. This wasn't some feel-good story that coaches invented to sell tickets. Max Brosmer outplayed veteran competition, outworked established players, and outperformed every expectation to earn legitimate NFL employment. In a league where quarterback rooms are sacred spaces, where every snap is precious, where mistakes can end careers before they start, Brosmer walked into training camp and proved he belonged. Kevin O'Connell and his coaching staff don't hand out roster spots to make people feel good. They earn them through blood, sweat, and exceptional performance under pressure. The fact that Brosmer is now the 3rd quarterback on this roster means he showed enough arm talent, enough football IQ, enough leadership potential to convince one of the brightest offensive minds in the NFL that he's worth developing. But here's what makes this story even more special. Brosmer represents the pipeline from University of Minnesota to Minnesota Vikings that every local kid dreams about. How many Minnesota high school quarterbacks watched Brosmer play for the Gophers and thought maybe that could be me someday? How many young athletes in this state just witnessed proof that you don't need to leave home to achieve your NFL dreams? This is about more than football. This is about community, about representing your roots, about proving that Minnesota produces NFL caliber talent right here in our own backyard. The kid who used to throw passes at TCF Bank Stadium is now sharing a quarterback room with J.J. McCarthy and Carson Wentz at the same facility. The player who used to dream about playing professionally is now living that dream with his home state team. The young man who probably grew up cheering for the Vikings is now wearing their uniform, carrying their playbook, and preparing to help them win a championship. From Golden Gopher to Purple and Gold Professional, Max Brosmer just proved that sometimes the best talent isn't hiding in some distant college program or expensive free agency market. Sometimes it's developing right under your nose, waiting for the right opportunity to shine. This is what makes the Minnesota Vikings special. We don't just find talent, we nurture it. We don't just develop players, we create dreams. We don't just build rosters, we build legacies that inspire entire generations of Minnesota athletes to believe that anything is possible if you're willing to work hard enough to earn it. Stay with me, because what comes next will flip the script in ways nobody predicted, and it involves another piece of this incredible puzzle that's taking shape in Minnesota. We need to talk about Ben Yurosk, the tight end who just proved that champions have a way of finding other champions, that elite programs produce elite players, and that the Minnesota Vikings have become the destination where the best of the best want to build something special. This man didn't just transfer from Stanford to Georgia for his final college season. He transferred from one elite academic institution to one elite football program. And now he's landed with an elite NFL organization that knows how to maximize every ounce of his potential. Think about what that resume represents. Stanford Cardinal for the intellectual development, Georgia Bulldogs for the championship mentality, and now Minnesota Vikings for the professional excellence. That's not an accident. That's a pattern. That's what happens when elite recognizes elite. When greatness gravitates toward other greatness, when players who demand the best from themselves end up in organizations that demand the best from everyone. Yurosk didn't just happen to end up in Minnesota. He chose Minnesota because he recognized that this organization is building something special, something sustainable, something that matches his own championship aspirations. At Stanford, Yurosk refined his receiving skills, developed his route running precision, and learned the kind of intellectual approach to football that separates good players from great ones. The Cardinal don't just recruit athletes, they recruit scholar athletes who can process complex offensive systems, make split-second decisions under pressure, and elevate their game through preparation and film study. That's exactly the kind of football IQ that Kevin O'Connell's offense demands from every position, especially tight end. Then at Georgia, Yurosk learned what it means to compete at the championship level, what it takes to perform under the brightest lights, what it feels like to be part of something bigger than individual statistics or personal glory. The Bulldogs don't just develop players, they forge warriors who understand that team success trumps individual achievement, that every rep matters, that every practice is preparation for the moment when championships are won or lost. Now he's in Minnesota, where those Stanford smarts and Georgia grit combine perfectly with an organization that values intelligence, toughness, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. The Vikings didn't just sign another undrafted tight end, they acquired a weapon who can line up anywhere on the formation, run precise routes from any position, and make the kind of clutch catches that turn good drives into great drives. But here's what makes Yurosk even more valuable. He understands that his role isn't just about individual production, it's about making everyone around him better. At Stanford, he learned how to be a quarterback's best friend. At Georgia, he learned how to be a coach's most trusted weapon. In Minnesota, he's learning how to be the kind of versatile, reliable, championship caliber tight end who can help J.J. McCarthy develop into a franchise quarterback. This isn't just about depth at the tight end position. This is about adding another chess piece that Kevin O'Connell can move around the formation. Another reliable target that McCarthy can trust in crucial situations. Another intelligent player who makes the entire offensive system more dynamic and unpredictable. The fact that Yurosk made the 53-man roster as an undrafted rookie tight end tells you everything you need to know about his talent level, his work ethic, and his fit within this organization. Tight ends typically need years to develop, years to learn NFL systems, years to build the kind of trust that coaches require. Yurosk did it in one training camp because he brought Stanford intelligence, Georgia toughness, a Minnesota work ethic to every single practice, every single meeting, every single opportunity to prove he belonged. But trust me, the night isn't over. Because the next headline is pure shock, and it's heading straight for us with the kind of emotional impact that will leave every Vikings fan speechless. We need to talk about the homecoming that nobody saw coming, the trade that rewrites everything we thought we knew about this season, the return of a legend who belongs in purple and gold more than any player in the history of this franchise. Ladies and gentlemen, Adam Thielen is coming home. After 2 years in Carolina, after 103 catches and 1,014 yards in his first season with the Panthers, after everyone assumed his Vikings chapter was permanently closed, the Detroit Lakes native is back where he always belonged, back in the state that raised him, back with a team that turned him from unknown tryout player into Pro Bowl superstar. This isn't just a trade, this is destiny correcting itself. The Minnesota Vikings have officially acquired Adam Thielen from the Carolina Panthers in exchange for a 2026 fifth-round pick and a 2027 fourth-round pick, while also receiving a conditional 2026 seventh-round pick and a 2027 fifth-round pick along with Thielen himself. But those draft picks are meaningless compared to what this trade represents. The return of Minnesota's prodigal son, the homecoming of a player who never should have left. The reunion that every Vikings fan has been dreaming about since the day he signed with Carolina. Think about this man's journey for a second. Adam Thielen was an undrafted free agent out of Minnesota State Mankato who started his NFL career as a tryout player in 2013. He spent his first season on the practice squad, fighting for every opportunity, earning every snap through pure determination and relentless work ethic. Over 9 seasons in purple and gold, he caught 534 passes for 6,782 yards and 55 touchdowns, made 2 Pro Bowls, topped 1,000 receiving yards twice, and became the most reliable, most clutch, most beloved receiver in franchise history, not named Randy Moss or Chris Carter. This is a player who caught more touchdown passes than anyone in Vikings history except those 2 Hall of Famers. This is a receiver who made some of the most memorable catches in franchise history, who came through in the biggest moments, who represented everything that Minnesota football stands for: grit, determination, and the refusal to quit when everyone else gives up. When the Vikings released him after the 2022 season, it felt like a piece of the franchise's soul went with him. Watching Thielen in a Carolina uniform was like watching your childhood hero play for the enemy, like seeing a family member forced to live somewhere else against their will. But now he's back, and the timing couldn't be more perfect. Jordan Addison is suspended for the first 3 games of the season. Rondale Moore suffered a season-ending knee injury. Jalen Naylor is dealing with a hand injury that has kept him out of practice. The Vikings needed veteran receiver help, and the football gods delivered the one player who could fill that role better than anyone else in the universe. But this isn't just about filling a roster spot. This is about reuniting J.J. McCarthy with the receiver who has been mentoring him every summer for the past 2 years. Thielen has spent his off seasons working out with McCarthy near his home in Woodbury, throwing roots, building chemistry, developing the kind of quarterback-receiver relationship that can be taught in practice or created through film study. When Thielen says McCarthy has got it, that carries more weight than any scouting report or draft analysis because he's seen the kid's arm talent up close. He's run routes against NFL caliber defenses with McCarthy throwing him the ball. He's witnessed firsthand the kind of pocket presence and decision-making that separates franchise quarterbacks from career backups. The fact that Thielen already knows Kevin O'Connell's offensive system makes this trade even more valuable. He spent 2022 learning this offense, understanding these concepts, mastering these route combinations. There's no learning curve, No adjustment period, no weeks of practice needed to get up to speed. Adam Thielen can walk into the building tomorrow, grab a playbook, and immediately become one of the most reliable, most experienced, most trustworthy receivers in the entire system. This is a player who has been in this offense before, who knows how to get open against any coverage, who understands how to find the soft spots in zone defense and create separation against man coverage. At 35 years old, Thielen might not have the blazing speed he once possessed, but he has something even more valuable: intelligence, experience, and an unbreakable connection to this franchise that runs deeper than football. He's not just returning as a player, he's returning as a leader, as a mentor, as the kind of veteran presence who can help young receivers understand what it means to wear purple and gold. This trade sends a message to every player in that locker room. And if you give everything to this organization, if you represent it with class and dignity, if you embody the values that make this franchise special, then you will always have a home in Minnesota. Adam Thielen isn't just coming back to help us win games. He's coming back to help us win a championship. And there's no one in the world who deserves to hoist that Lombardi trophy in purple and gold more than the kid from Detroit Lakes who never stopped believing that Minnesota magic was real. And if this week felt like an earthquake, what's coming next could be the aftershock that topples the whole season. Because what we're witnessing in Minnesota isn't just a series of roster moves, it's the construction of something legendary, the assembly of a championship machine built from undrafted dreams, veteran leadership, and the kind of organizational culture that transforms good players into great ones and great players into Hall of Famers. 7 undrafted rookies making the roster isn't just impressive, it's revolutionary. It's proof that while other teams are throwing money at declining veterans and trading away their futures for short-term fixes, the Minnesota Vikings are building a sustainable dynasty from the ground up with players who understand that every opportunity is earned, every snap is precious, and every day is a chance to prove that heart and determination matter more than draft position or signing bonus. Elijah Williams going from tryout player to 53-man roster member isn't just an individual success story. It's a testament to what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. When a player who refuses to quit encounters an organization that refuses to give up on talent regardless of where it comes from. His journey from Morgan State to Minnesota represents everything that makes football beautiful. The idea that if you work harder than everyone else, if you outfight every challenger, if you never stop believing in your dreams, then anything is possible. Max Brosmer earning a roster spot as the third quarterback isn't just about depth. It's about the pipeline from University of Minnesota to Minnesota Vikings coming full circle. About local talent staying home to chase championship dreams. About proving that sometimes the best players aren't hiding in some distant program, but developing right in your backyard. His success sends a message to every high school quarterback in this state that Minnesota produces NFL talent, that you don't need to leave home to achieve your professional dreams. Ben Yurosk making the team as an undrafted tight end isn't just about adding another receiving option. It's about the gravitational pull of championship culture, about how elite players find their way to elite organizations, about the kind of Stanford intelligence and Georgia grit that perfectly complements the Minnesota work ethic that defines this franchise. His presence makes everyone around him better, makes the entire offensive system more dynamic, more unpredictable, more dangerous. And Adam Thielen's homecoming isn't just a trade, it's destiny correcting itself. It's the universe acknowledging that some players are meant to finish their careers where they started them. It's proof that if you give everything to an organization, that organization will find a way to give everything back to you when you need it most. His return brings veteran leadership, offensive familiarity, and the kind of emotional energy that can carry a team through the darkest moments of a championship run. Think this was wild? Just wait until the rivals make their counter move, because that war is only beginning. The Packers are watching this Vikings transformation with growing concern, knowing that their window of NFC North dominance might be slamming shut. The Bears are scrambling to match this level of organizational excellence, desperately trying to build something comparable to what Minnesota has constructed. The Lions are realizing that their one successful season doesn't automatically make them a dynasty, especially when the Vikings are developing 7 new weapons while bringing back proven champions. But here's what separates pretenders from contenders. While those teams are reacting to what we're doing, we're 3 steps ahead, building for sustainable success, creating the kind of culture that produces championship caliber results year after year. The 20-25 Minnesota Vikings aren't just building a roster. They're constructing a legacy. They're not just finding talent. They're developing legends. They're not just chasing a championship. They're establishing a dynasty that will terrorize the NFC North for the next decade. If you believe in the Vikings more than you hate the Packers, if you think J.J. McCarthy is going to be better than Jordan Love, if you know that Kevin O'Connell is a better coach than Matt LaFleur, then smash that like button, destroy that subscribe notification, and get ready for the most incredible season in franchise history. Because if you thought this was the peak of chaos, the real avalanche is just starting. And when it's all over, Valhalla will finally have this championship ring. And every one of these undrafted heroes, veteran leaders, and championship-hungry warriors will be able to call themselves Super Bowl champions. Skol Vikings, and welcome to the beginning of something legendary.